So 223, quick reteach. So I look at number 1, I see the last sign before the 20 is a plus. What does that tell us about the signs for your answers? They're going to be the same. And even more detailed, they're going to be the same as the first sign, which I see a plus with a 9. So we need for number 1 to get an answer with x plus this, x plus that. So, do you have that one? Did you get to that? Why don't you grab your book, go to 223 and just see if you can hit me with that first one. What's going to be the first one where the signs are going to be different?
5.
5. Number 5, we have a 27 has a minus on it. That's where we would look. They additionally did another mean thing on 5. They kind of like put the stuff out of order. So maybe when you do 5, maybe you want to copy it in descending order and go x squared, then x, then number. But since the 27 has the minus, we want to go different signs. 5, do you have an answer with different signs?
X plus 3, x minus 9.
It is x plus 3, x minus 9. The order doesn't matter as long as you go minus with the 9 and plus with the 3. We'd be okay with that. Let's go somewhere a little farther down the line, maybe like, let's go 9. What do you think about 9?
Didn't do 9.
We didn't do 9, we skipped 3s, you're right, good call.
I was looking at
Pick any one you want to do, somewhere in that range.
so like 10.
Okay, what do you think for 10?
Y plus 8, y plus 4.
It is y plus 8, y plus 4. They put that one out of order, so maybe you want to put that one back in order. Mackenzie, how about 16?
X plus 3, x minus 2.
X plus 3, x minus 2 works for me. How about like 17?
X plus 2, 3x plus 2.
That works for me. Doubling back to 1, what do you think on 1?
X plus 1, x plus 4.
That's true. Then let me talk about 19. 19, if you were bothered because it was out of order and you tried to put it back in order, why is it awkward?
It's like you have a negative.
You gotta switch
You have
the
a
signs.
negative on the square. So you'd have 2 ways to go with that. One way you could go with that is factor off a negative so that you changed all the signs and then it becomes like the other questions. Another way you could do that is just live with it. Just go different signs because of the minus with the y squared and put the y's in the back instead of in the front. So one possible right answer would be to go an 8 minus a y and a 4 plus a y. Wait, did I get that crisscross? Cross that, right? And I get it right? Okay. So what I said there, we could go with that. If you don't like that, you can have a negative in the front and then 2 sets of parentheses that would go a y minus 8 and a y plus 4. That one's an oddity though, because the y squared was negative. It's probably easier to just factor it the way it is and have the y's at the back. I can do that one on the board if I'm confusing people, but 19 and 20 are 2 of a kind for this section. They're different from all the other ones because they had that negative on the y squared. And there was not an example like that from the lesson. Does anybody need anything me to do on the board for 19, 20? Anybody need any conversation up through 20? Anything bad news? 22, you just start to guess, and then you foil to check. And maybe really I could just say you OI to check. You only have to multiply the outside inside stuff. If you pay attention to even and oddness, that can help you in your guessing and make it not be so much of a blind guess. 22, do you have?
Three b plus 2, b plus 2.
That's true. 23 you have? 2, 3?
23. 3x plus 1, 3x plus 2.
That works. 25?
3a minus 4a plus 1.
That's true. 26? Okay, that won't quite foil right. It isn't going to be the 3-2 pair. 26 is going to have to do this with a 6-1 pair. Retry. Let me see if you can get that one. Also, maybe when you copy it, you want to sort them into a new order because they went out of order. 28. Okay. You okay to try it? Come back. Yep. 29. Did you get? Okay. Try 29. I'll get back with you. Otherwise, we'll just kind of go on hold. Does anybody have any that you couldn't do that you want me to talk about while those guys are searching theirs out? Anybody need anything from the rest of the group down to the end? If any of you three get stuck, we'll just talk it through on the board. Just give me a holler if you're like, I can't do this. This isn't working. Okay, so which year, which one? 29?
Yes.
Okay, so 29, we have 4t squared plus 4t minus 15. So you have to guess either 4t, 4t, or 2t, 2t.
Probably 2t.
Probably 2t, 2t. I generally don't do that, the choice that involves a 1, unless the middle number starts to get kind of big. So probably 2t, 2t. Those are both evens, and you're trying to make an even, so that seems decent. How about signs?
Positive.
One of each, so we'll just throw them down there. And then you guess stuff that can multiply to make 15. 5, 3. And then you foil the check. This would make 10. This will make, okay,
-6.
-6. So positive 10 with -6, what do you get when you put positive 10 added with -6?
That's 4.
That's 4. We wanted to get 4, so you're right.
I need to come out that. That's it.
Got it? Need help? Where are you at? Okay, you're 28?
Yeah.
Okay.
3a plus 2, 3a minus
3a, what was the sign on your 2?
3a minus 2.
Yeah, 3a minus 2 is right, 3a plus 4, you're right. Yep. Is that opposite of how you said the first time? Okay. Got a little help from our friends? Back to, do you know how to check that? Like, okay. Back to 26, try?
6a plus 5.
Yes?
1a minus 2.
Correct. Anybody need any more guidance on the 223? If you have that all done, make sure it's labeled your name, labeled at 223, send that down. If you're not all the way there, you need more time, take some more time, but we'll get it next time. Today we go up to 5-5. We're going to spend 2 days in 5-5. Sometimes I do both of these lessons in one day. Sometimes I split them. It depends on if I have enough time before Christmas or not. We've got time before Christmas, so I'm not worried about it. So 5-5, half today doing a thing called factoring by grouping. And then the other half will be a thing we'll do tomorrow. We'll worry about that tomorrow. Factoring by grouping you're going to use if you have more than 3 terms. So if you look across my board, all of these problems have 4 terms. Sometimes you get 5, 6 terms even, but that's not the way the board is set up. But if you have 4 terms or more, we're going to do a thing called factoring by grouping. These first 3, I already did it halfway. So these are like halfway completed problems already. I would consider this to be the first one that it's like a full factor by grouping that you'd have to do the full spectrum of work. But this one, does anybody either have a memory of how this goes to an answer or just an observation about how this is neatly working so far, because I did half the work for you?
It's like a plus b times y, x plus y.
Okay. Parentheses, how many groups did you get? 2. So we're going to get one set of parentheses that has an a plus b. We're going to get another set of parentheses that has an x plus y. What was nicely set up about this problem, and it's nicely set up in the next 2 as well, what lets us be able to consolidate? Yeah. And what's true about it? It's not a coincidence. This problem has something that's really nicely set up, and I did it on purpose. It's not just luck. The x plus y. Okay, this group is a match for this group, which means that just goes straight into the answer as itself, unchanged. I would almost compare this to like terms stuff. If you had 3x, add 5x. Combine like terms, you well know that you get 8x. This has an x, and this has an x, so the answer has an unchanged x. You just have to put the coefficients together because this said to add them. 3 plus 5 made 8. If I go like that, there's still the x, but now I've got -2. This is just a type of like terms. This has x plus y's. This has x plus y's. So the answer has x plus y's. And then you look to the things that are in front and you just obey the signs. This says to take A plus B, and it's going to make its own little new group. That's part of factoring by grouping. So on this next one, who can go straight into the answer?
X minus 6.
X minus 6. X minus 6 is everywhere, so just keep it absolutely unchanged. And then in your mind, act like it's gone, because really, I guess it is. It's been taken care of. And look at what's left standing, and put those together as best you can.
9x squared.
9x squared. Question about that? Okay, next one. Who's going to go straight for the answer?
X plus 4.
X plus 4. X plus 4 is in this one. X plus 4 is in that one. Just take X plus 4 into the finish line. And then just obey what the signs and things are and combine like terms as best you can. Who's the other group? 3x minus 4. Didn't leave myself quite enough space, but I'll squeeze it in. The 2x is adding the x, that's 3x. The 3 is adding a -7, that's -4. And then we're there to the finish line. Question about that? This next one, we have to do the factoring ourselves. So we have to look at this first pair and see who's in common. P, which leaves you
X plus
x plus y. Then take a look at the second group, has in common
Q.
Q, which leaves you
X plus y.
x plus y. You have a strong feeling you're on the right track because the two parentheses groups you just made
The
are the
same.
same. So the answer for sure is going to have
X plus y.
x plus y just staying the same. And who's its new friend we created?
P plus
P
Q.
plus Q. If you were serious about your checking career, and this is a quiz or something, what could you do to this to check it?
Foil.
Foil it out. If you foiled it out, you'd get all that stuff back. Question about that one? Almost the same. The only difference in this one is the signs are a little different. So still taking out a P?
Yep.
Yes. Which leaves you
X plus y.
x plus y. On this second one though, we need the parentheses we're creating to have
X plus
x plus y. We need a true match. So what are we going to take out here to force?
Minus Q.
Take out a minus. Because if you take out a minus, it's going to
Change the signs.
change all the signs. So minus Q comes out. So answer?
P minus Q.
Minus Q,
X plus y.
x plus y. Question about that? This one, first group, what's in common?
And X.
X leaves
X plus 5.
x plus 5. Second group in common,
4.
4 leaves
X plus 5.
x plus 5. Answer?
X plus 5. Oh, well, X plus 4, and then X plus 5.
X plus 4 and x plus 5. Does the order really matter?
Nah.
Nah. Question about that? If no one ever taught you about factor by grouping, and you never did this once in your life, how could you still make that jump? Combine. If you combine like terms, that would make this middle be 9x. And then you could do that like you did the homework yesterday, over the weekend. We'd go with that plus because the signs are the same as that. Multiply to 20, add to 9, 5, 4. So if you're good at combining like terms, factor by grouping is sometimes like not absolutely crucial. Something there. This one you've got no like terms, so the only way to do this is factor by grouping. So in common,
X squared.
x squared leaves
X plus 1.
x plus 2. So over here you better leave
Next.
x plus 2. Is there something you could take off to do that?
10.
10. So answer?
X squared plus 10. X plus 2.
Correct. Sometimes people ask, what if I can't make those match? Then the answer is you can't factor it. Okay, they have to match. If we're going to factor by this technique, it has to match. If it doesn't match, no way. Grouping again here.
3a squared.
3a squared is in common to leave.
A squared plus 3.
Agreed. This group, can you leave an a squared plus 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Taking off
10.
10. So answer?
3a squared plus 10. Plus a squared plus 3.
I'll retread my advice 1 second though. Potentially what you might need to do is just switch the order. So if you have trouble with the things as they are forcing a match, maybe you just need to scramble the order and group it differently. If you scrambled the order and grouped it differently, you should be able to make a match a lot of the time. Question them up, Bones. We'll take a stroll to the left. This column has a different kind of breakdown. Okay, so on these, there's going to be no way you're ever going to factor these two and make a match for these two. Because that p squared is just like in its own little world of unlikeness. Anybody have a memory or a thought on if you can't factor by grouping like we were over there, but I'm still factoring by grouping over here? How? How am I going to factor by grouping over here? Over there, we always did a group of 2 and then another group.
Oh, you do like more groups. Is that it?
Maybe. Over there, we did a group of 2 and a group of 2. That's not the only way you can group 4 things, is into 2 groups of 2. What's another way you can group?
A group of 3.
Do a group of 3 and 1 left out. What's the group of 3 that looks like it most naturally goes together?
X squared plus 2x plus 1.
Correct. So if we factor this, using our skills from the last day or even 2 days ago, how is that x squared plus 2x plus 1 going to factor?
X plus 1 squared.
X plus 1 squared. It would be x plus 1, or x plus 1 squared. That would be our first move, is to get something like that. And I'll pause there. Anybody bothered by that being a square like the last day or 2 has been? Okay, so memory lane. If I had x squared minus p squared, how would that factor?
X plus p. X minus.
X minus p. This x squared creates twin x's. The p squared creates twin p's, but the signs are different because it's just how it goes. This is a famous name of a problem that's called a difference of squares. This is also a difference of squares. It's just a little bit bigger difference of squares. Okay. This had p squared and with p's. This has p squared
And with p's.
and with p's. The signs on the p's should be different. When this one had x squared, we did x's to start. This has x plus 1 squared, so start with x plus 1. If it has x plus 1 squared, just split them into a pair of x plus 1s. And that's as far as that one's going to go. Something about that was weird and different. Go again, new one. Okay. If we took GCF out of this, you take out an x, you'd leave
8.
something with 8.
And an x.
And an x. There's no way over here you could leave an 8 and an x. Like, it's just not going to work that way. There's no way we can group this to make matches, because there's x's in the one thing, there's y's in the other thing, we're just stuck. So if you can't group 2, 2, try to group 3, 1. Which one looks like the weirdo? The 64y squared. So leave that alone. And then what you're gonna hope for is that that other thing is a square. Is that other thing a square?
Yes.
Yes. What square is it?
X plus 4.
X plus 4. Question about that first move? For final answer?
X
X plus 4
X
minus
plus 4 here,
minus X plus 4 there.
X plus 4 there,
Minus
minus on one,
plus
plus on the other,
8y.
8y on this,
8y.
8y on that. Question about that one. Does this look like a 2-2 or a 3-1?
2, 2.
So if we do
Oh, I
these,
didn't see the y. 3, 1.
3-1, because who's like a misfit here?
75.
75.
X plus 1.
Yeah, this one has an X and a Y, so that kind of means the X's and the Y's maybe feed into the same area, because the XY can like link them, but there's nobody like the 75y squared, or w squared. If you try to factor this as a square, you have unfortunate news. It's not a square. So there's something that has to happen before you can even approach this problem. We talked about it maybe 3 days ago. It should always be your first move, if possible.
Take out.
Take out a GCF. Who's in common? That literally everybody. 3. So maybe this is a bad habit to teach you. Probably what I should do is factor out the 3 and show the 3 in all my intermediate steps. Like if this problem had a 3, 6, 3, 3 thing, I should probably have a 3 with like brackety brackets and then the 3 still stay alive. I don't feel like copying that 3 every step, so I'm just not going to. I'm going to factor out the 3, I'm going to put 3 into my answer. Eventually when I get set up down here, the 3 is still alive. That's a dangerous gamble maybe, because if you do that on a quiz and you forget the 3 came off and don't get it in your answer, that's a problem. But if you take the 3 off and just right away put it in your answer, you should be safe. Let's take the 3 off. This would be x squared, 2xy, y squared, 25w squared. We already decided that the minus 25w squared was the standalone. And now we're hoping that this first trio is going to be a square, and it is. What square is the first trio? X plus y squared. Anybody trouble with the square x plus y squared? So final line, the x plus y squared is going to create some
X plus y.
x plus y. This is going to be
X plus y.
x plus y. How about the 25w squared?
Plus minus.
Plus minus. 5w here. 5w there. And that's our day. Tomorrow we'll do a thing called factoring by completing the square. I don't remember if that was in your Algebra 1 book or not. That might be entirely new. Homework off this completing the squares, 227, goes 1 to 19. Shouldn't take you as long as some of the assignments do. Like I said, some years 5-5 I do 2 things in one day, and then the homework's more to like 40 like the rest of this has been. But today's a 1 to 19 because we just did half of the material from 5-5. That's it.